Can't stop now. I'm in too deep. Oh, hi! Chris the Frog of Sewer Spewer with another edition where I talk about new music that was released in the past month out of Jojage, or so-called Montreal, and so-called Quebec, in so-called Canada. And in this video, I'll be talking about new releases that came out in April of 2025. Now, I have almost 30 releases to talk about, so I'm not going to say much about each release. I'll just say a few interesting facts and move on. Also, I've left out 2 releases from my list from bands that have some controversy surrounding them at the moment. I figured it would be better to have only a couple people mad at me for not including them, rather than a bunch of people mad at me for including them. So if you want your music included in my future videos, just don't say and do shitty things. It's that easy. Starting off this video with a release that was technically released in March, but I was under the impression that it would be released in April. It is the new album by Population 2 called Maintenant Jamais. Population 2 are a post-rock trio, and this is their 3rd album, which is being released through Bon Sound. And the output from this band has been incredible. They put out an excellent album back in 2023, and then last year they dropped an EP and a split with Mulch, so they have been very busy. And on this album, they continue to experiment and refine their sound. Next up is Channeler and their debut EP, Power Within. Channeler are a new black metal band with a punk rock attitude, and like a lot of black metal bands, there's not much you can find about them online. All I really know is that they played their very first show just a couple of days ago. After that, we have Soleil Saint-Jean and their debut EP, Chadrouel. This band blends punk and grunge, and they've been pretty active lately, doing a show almost once or twice a week. Next up, we have Laura Krieg and her second album, Crépuscule. Laura Krieg is a synth punk and dark wave artist, and on this album she sings in both French and in English. And there's collaborations with Johnny Couteau and Bad Faith Actor, and the final track is a remix of the opening title track by Auto Melody. Next up, we have Bruiserweight and their new EP, Still Standing, which is being put out by Unbeaten Records out of Albany. And Bruiserweight play hardcore, very much inspired by the style of New York hardcore. So these are songs where you're encouraged to shout along and dogpile on the stage and steal the mic. Next up, we have Pace and their second EP, Maze, which is chock full of melodic punk songs about overcoming hardships and persevering despite past traumas. Next up, we have Dutch Nuggets and their second album, Fishbold. Yes, the melodic hardcore band is back after a long hiatus. Just to give you an idea, it's been 12 years since their debut album, but you could catch them in a couple of weeks when they played this year's edition of Poozafest. Next is Nümonia and their debut album, The Age of Nümonia. This is a new wave synth pop duo made up of Annie Kelemkirian on vocals and synths, and John Asensio, who used to play in Doughboys back in the day, providing the instrumentals. And the songs on this album have a very futuristic feel. Next up, we have hardcore punk band Peeve and their final EP, Gravedigger, which was originally released on cassette back in March when the band played their final show, but was only put up on streaming earlier this month, so R.I.P. Next up is oi punk band Mortier and their second EP, L'Ennui, which contains 4 new songs and a resurrected cover originally by the punky reggae band Dynamite Express, which I imagine the members of Mortier were involved with about a decade ago. Also, the final track on this EP concludes with about 8 minutes of bird sounds. After that, we have The Last Mile and their second album, Holding On to Hope, which is being released through Thousand Island Records. The Last Mile are a melodic hardcore band who are dripping with positivity, and I really like that on this album the vocal duties are shared between the guitarist Chris Snellgrove and the bassist Stephanie Cole. Next up is Ribbonskirt and their debut album, Bite Down, which is being released through the Vancouver label Mint Records. Ribbonskirt are an indie rock band formerly known as Love Language, so this is their debut album under their new name. And the band is fronted by Tashina Boussois, who on this album reflects a lot on her Anishinaabe identity and cultural practices. Next, we have sad girl folk punk trio Cadmium and their debut EP, Fogbound Tales, which features some melancholic songs with some interesting instrumentation, including banjo, accordion, saxophone, and clarinet. Next up is Ulfhednar and their new EP, The Final Strife. Ulfhednar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, are a melodic death metal band who are very much inspired by Viking mythology, and this is a concept EP about Ragnarok, so there's lots of storytelling and spoken word as well. Next up is punk band Rope Skills and their second EP, Snake Knot. And unfortunately, the band recently announced that they'll be going on hiatus following the departure of one of their core members. But before going on hiatus, they have a couple more shows to play with a temporary lineup, including Pouzafest. Next is Vésperal and their second album, La Mort de l'Âme. Vésperal are a synth-heavy black metal band with members of Conifer, and this album has lots of peaks and valleys. It's very atmospheric, but there's also some very heavy and fast parts. Next we have Atomic Threat and their third EP, Nukas. Atomic Threat play punk with a bit of thrash, and this EP is a follow-up to their 2020 album, Nuke You. Next up, we have Ripcordz and their 16th album, called More Songs You'll Never Find on Spotify because fuck those guys, which is very par for the course for Ripcordz. They often have very long album titles. And the band has been around for about 45 years, with the singer-guitarist Paul Gott being the only remaining founding member. And fun fact, he was also my professor in university. And as the title suggests, you can only find this album on Bandcamp. Don't bother going on Spotify looking for it. Coming up, we have Wave and Wire and their fourth EP, A Little Drop of Sanity. This is a indie alt-rock band, and on this EP, there's a lot of reflection on the current political landscape. After that, we have Bonewaves and their debut album, Eternal Surfer. This is a new surf rock band inspired by psychedelic garage rock and the darker elements of black metal, and they should be announcing their debut Montreal show very soon. Coming up, we have another black metal band called Néfaste, and their fifth album / EP called Vuelzuegle, I don't know how to pronounce that, / Sans Raison d'être, which is being released through Les Productions Oubliettes. And this is recommended particularly for people who are fans of depressive and mournful black metal. After that, we have mellow death band Burning the Oppressor and their fifth album, Waking Nightmare. And the production on this album is really top-notch. Next up is Blurry Eyes and their third EP, Care. This band plays pop punk with elements of emo and shoegaze, and you can also catch them at this year's Pouzafest. Next up, we have The Defamed and their second album, Secret of the Booze. The Defamed are a street punk band who formed in 2004 and then went on hiatus for 18 years. And they just recently reunited, but this is their first album since 2005. So I hope you're ready for another serving of songs about drinking beer and working shitty jobs. Next up is Lesbian Weed Coven and their self-titled EP. Lesbian Weed Coven originally started off as a solo bedroom project for the guitarist Tessa, who put out an instrumental demo back in 2020, but then it evolved into a trio with my friend Ashley on vocals, who also plays drums in my black metal band. And unfortunately, this band isn't playing shows anytime soon, and the future for this band is very uncertain, but I'm glad that they at least put out this EP. Next is Technicolor Blood, and their second album, Evolution Now. Technicolor Blood are a heavy psych space rock band, and there's just a lot of cool effects on this album, and it really gets you into this meditative zone. Okay, we're almost at the end here with Martlet and their third album, Hex. Martlet are a post-metal band, and all of the songs on this album are purely instrumental except for the opening track, which features these hauntingly beautiful vocals from Delorca of the band Tons, as well as some random demonic incantations and screams of pain here and there. And finally, for the final release, we have RJ and the Sect with their EP, This Is All We Got. RJ and the Sect are a hardcore band formerly known as RJ Foley and the Hardcore Sect, and this is their first EP under their new name. And I want to give a big thanks to RJ for sending me this EP. And if you have new music coming out, be sure to message me and let me know when it will be coming out, and I'll be sure to include it in my future videos. If you want to hear music from most of these bands, I made a playlist over on Spotify and on YouTube, though as I mentioned previously in this video, some bands are not on Spotify, so you'll have to go onto Bandcamp to find those albums. And if you want to support me while I support the Montreal scene, then go to patreon.com/sewerspewer, and for only $2 a month, you can get access to my mastered list of future Montreal shows and an exclusive podcast called Sewer Stewards, where I talk to people who work behind the scenes of the local DIY scene. And just yesterday, I dropped a new episode where I talked to Cat Piss Jones, who plays in the Hamilton alt-metal band Lover's Teeth, but also books shows here in Montreal and in Hamilton. So if you want to hear that episode, go subscribe to the Patreon. And very soon, hopefully, we will have merch, and people who are subscribed to the Patreon will get first dibs. If you're looking for other ways to support that doesn't involve giving me money, then just go follow me on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook at Sewer Spewer. You can also subscribe to me here on YouTube and leave a comment below and tell me which of these albums you enjoyed listening to, and keep your eyes open for future videos. And other than that, just tell your friends about these videos and tell them about the work that I do to support the scene here in Montreal. So I'll be back next month with another edition of new music releases from Montreal. But until then, ribbit ribbit.